Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what I want to do is talk about a new library that I just published to NPM, and that is merced-express-oop. Okay, so right here, merced-express-oop. And basically what this is, it's essentially a wrapper around Express. It makes using Express a little bit quicker. Not that it wasn't already quick enough as it was, but just some, basic boilerplate methods built around a class. But because I built it around a class with several methods, you can easily use inheritance to customize the functionality and create your own wrappers pretty easily around Express. Okay, so all that's in the documentation and how the different ways you can use it. I want to just kind of demonstrate it. So I'm going to create a new npm project. So I'm going to do npm init-y. Then I'm going to install npm install merced-express-oop. Now do keep in mind that I published this particular library as a ES module. Okay, so that means I'm pretty sure if in order to import ES modules, your project has to be an ES module. So in that case, what you have to do here in your package.json, we're just going to add a key here called type, and the value will be module, and that allows us to be a module, which just means we can use import and export statements instead of require and module.exports to handle dependencies and such. So just to show you how quickly this works, if I just make a server.js, essentially just kind of do your basic setup, you would just do import server, because that's basically the only thing this library provides. It's a server class. You could call it something else, but I wrote it as server. So import server from merced-express-oop. Okay. So now what I can do is I can create a server. So like create const server equals a new server. And now I have my server. And now basically getting it up and running is simple as this. I could just be like server. And server has many methods that are chainable. Okay, so it makes it pretty easy to do. So I could just sit there and say, hey, I want logging. So there's like a basic logs method. This does not use Morgan. It's actually just a custom logger that I wrote with very, very basic logs. But the idea is that, they give you some stuff out of the box. And if you want to use other dependencies, they're easy enough to register. You could use a middleware method and literally just pass any middleware you want to this method. So I could be like express.static and then be like, oh, express.json, and just start registering all my middleware that way. Okay, but there's certain things that are just so typical, you're going to do so often. There's methods to kind of do that. So there's a body parsers method that's going to register the JSON and URL encoded body parsers. And again, because this is all from a class, you could inherit from this class and then just rewrite any of these methods to customize them to your use. Okay. Again, and then basically what happens here is we have like a routers method, which allows you to register routers. So what I'll do is I'll just create a basic router. And the way we do that is we just do server.router and just assign that to a variable, const router equals, and then I can just write all my normal like express routes. So I can just be like router.get, I'll just be like slash hello rec res hello world. So if you know how to use Express, like nothing really changes here per se. Res.send hello world, and then I would just register this router. Okay, and then, and just to kind of show you all the other methods this thing has, and we have a cores method, so that way you can automatically set up all your cores headers. This does not use like that cores package. I actually manually like set up all the headers. And then like what you can do is you can pass it different URLs you'd want to whitelist. If not, it just whitelists everything. But you can, again, anything can be done with that middleware method if you want custom middleware or any middleware you want to individually configure. And the cool thing about like the routers and the middleware method is that you could just pass, like, let's say the router itself, or I could pass the router or something. I could do something like this. I just pass an array where the first argument is the endpoint. Okay, and then I can just pass multiple arrays, and then each array will get registered with the application. But again, it's a lot less typing than you would have to do with like just plain vanilla Express. And at the end here, you do like a dot listen. And then that again, that's going to default to I think 3000. I forget what defaults to. It has a default function. All of that's customizable. Um, uh, Again, the documentation kind of goes into all of that. But basically, the nice thing about this is that one, it's kind of declarative. So I can kind of see like, okay, I have logs, body parsing. Okay, these are my routers, cores. Listen, I mean, I can kind of look at this line and kind of get an idea of how my server is set up. Okay, pretty straightforwardly. Even if I don't know exactly like how this is implemented or how this is implemented, meaning like what does the actual function look like, I kind of have an idea what they're doing. Okay, so I can look at this code and get a quick idea of what's going on. And now if I run this, so I do like node server.js, see it's listening on port 3000, and now we can go to the localhost 3000. Hello world. Okay, so there you go. I have an Express app running pretty quickly. Just a lot of little things that I would normally have to do, and I would type out a little bit in a little bit more verbose way, are done a lot quicker. And the thing is that like, yeah, I could just manually register all my routers and my middleware using those methods. So technically, you could just build out your app just with this class as it is, and you're fine. Um, but you could also then create your own class to kind of really uh, hide a lot of that implementation detail. So you can sit there, let's say we create like a my server class, myserver.js. So then what happens here is we're going to import server again. But except now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do class myserver, which extends server. And now what I can do is I can override any of the existing methods or add new methods. Okay, so for example, and basically if you read the documentation, you'll know that this server class already has two properties. Okay, basically it has the app property, which is just your normal Express app object. So basically you can always just access it from there. And then you have your configs object, which is an object that can be passed with any properties you want. That gets passed in to the constructor. Okay, so let's say I wanted to create, so let's say I'm like using, let's just see here. Let's say I just really want to have all my routes kind of bundled in there. I don't want to have to like create a router and all this stuff. I just kind of want it in there. I could just create like a new method called routes. Okay, and just sit there and then go in here and just be like this.app.get, and then kind of set up my routes here like hello, or just say first we'll just do slash rec res.send hello world. Okay, and then just set up all my routes here one by one, just like the way I would normally do it in Express. Cheese, param, we res.send rec.params.we, and so forth. I'll leave it at that. Okay, and I could add other, again, I could override the middleware method. And generally, my recommendation is with any of these methods, you want them to be chainable. So to make them chainable, what you want to do is you always want to return this, okay? Because that way you're getting the instance back, and then you can use another method, another method, another method. That's how you make things chainable. So if you ever use like jQuery, you notice how you can like chain all these methods together. It's because each method keeps returning the jQuery object back. So long as the object returns itself at the end of every method, the methods become chainable. So return this, and then I can go override the middleware method. And I could like go, if I had Morgan installed or these other middlewares installed, I could register it there. I probably wouldn't override that method just because like it makes it really easy to register other middleware, unless you're going to just literally just do all your middleware in that method. But again, at the end of each new method, you just return this. And again, all the other methods I've already written, because you're extending server, are automatically be there. The constructors automatically be there, so you're just adding stuff to it. And now I can export this and export my server. And let's make that the export default. There we go. And if I go back here, I can now instead export my server from /my server. And then this would just become my server now. And pretty much now what I could do is instead of using this routers, I can just use the routes method I created. But otherwise, it's the same thing. Again, all those other methods still exist. Okay, and if I wanted to change what port this thing uses, I could just be like over here and be like port 4444. Okay, and again, this is the config object. So I could add extra properties in there that my new methods can refer to. So you can use this as sort of the way to ship variables into your additional methods. So now if I start this up again, oh, there's a mistake somewhere. Oh, I forget. In ES modules, in Node, you have to include the file extension. So there we go. It's running on port 444. So now if I go to port 444, see, it still says hello world. And then if I go to /cheese, I get /cheese. Then if I go to /param / blah, 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 blah. Oh, maybe it's just param. Yep, there we go. So basically, I can write all my routes like I normally would in Express. But again, this like server file becomes like super abstracted. And that's the nice thing about using this pattern. Oops, I opened up some windows. I don't need this open. Okay. And you can see like this becomes pretty nice. And again, I can technically now get rid of these two lines because I don't need this anymore. And it just becomes like this. Okay, and then that's pretty clean. Okay. I can read this and know exactly what's kind of going on in my server. And then I can go back and like, do a deeper dive to figure out what's the implementation of these if I need to know the implementation details. But I can kind of see that, hey, I have a server that has basic logging, body parsers, it has routes, it has cores, and now it's being turned on to listen. Okay, so it makes it a little bit more declarative to write your eventual like server backend code. And you can abstract it in that sort of like, it's easy to sort of like take what's already there and extend it using your own sort of classes. Okay, so it allows you to inherit from that class, customize it to your liking, but keep all the parts you want to keep. That's the idea here. And like that's showing you sort of like the beauty of inheritance in object-oriented patterns. Okay, I mean, I usually like functional patterns as well. And I do a lot of stuff very functional, but it's really good to get a handle on both and kind of see like why you'd like both. Because again, I get this nice initial structure that I can then customize and create like a version of that's really tailored to my application, but still get the benefits, a lot of that structure. So that's that. That's called merced-express-oop if you want to go play around with it. Have a great day and enjoy.